This is the Whoop 4.0, and if the advertising's anything to go by, it is at the absolute cutting edge of what a health and fitness wearable can and should be. However, with a very high subscription-based model and quite frankly ludicrous amount of data, is it really for your average Joe or only for the professional athlete? I do just want to preface this review by saying I am in no way a professional athlete. I do, however, enjoy working out, eating well, getting the right amount of sleep, and getting the most out of life, which is where the Whoop came in. Up until this point, I've been using the Apple Watch to get all of these data sets. However, there are just certain things that the Apple Watch did and didn't do that I really didn't like. Let's talk about the elephant in the room though, and start off with the price. This is not a cheap device, coming in at about £27 a month if you want to pay on a rolling contract that you can cancel at any time. Or if you're feeling daring, you can pay £229 up front for the whole year. That is a lot of money for what is essentially a simple band and a lot of data and analysis. There is no upfront cost for the device, it's all included within the subscription. So if Whoop were to ever create a 5.0, you would get it immediately, you wouldn't have to pay anything extra. So that's quite nice, but it is hardware as a service. This high price could be a bitter pill to swallow for a lot of people, considering that the competitions such as Garmin or Apple Watches are coming in at around £300 to £400 for similar devices. So after having the Whoop for about 2 years, it's going to become a pretty expensive habit. Let's talk about design real quick, because I think that's one thing that the band does very well. I've got the simple Onyx black one here, but it comes in a ton of different metal varieties as well as different designs. As you can tell, the band itself is pretty small and sleek, and I really like that about it. It doesn't get in the way too much, and that's definitely a good thing for a band that you're meant to be wearing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. With that small size as well, you don't just have to wear it in the band format. Whoop will happily sell you a ton of different varieties of clothing that the band can sit into, be that training bras or perhaps even a pair of boxers. So no matter how you work out or what sport you do, you'll be able to wear Whoop and it get you the best metrics. For instance, if you're running or walking, they suggest using a bicep band. If you're doing any kind of weightlifting based workout, on your wrist is pretty fine. But if you're doing boxing, tai chi or some kind of martial art, you don't really want it on your arm because it's just going to get in the way. And that's where the bras and the boxers come in. In that small size, it does cram in a lot of sensors, including 5 LEDs, 4 different photodiodes, and a body temperature sensor. On the surface, this sounds like quite a lot of sensors, until you realise that that's kind of been the standard in the fitness industry for a very, very long time. And to perhaps add salt into the wounds as well, Whoop won't track your step count, how high you've walked, and even things like active minutes. It simply uses 3 metrics: strain, recovery, and sleep scores. One perceived advantage, in my book anyway, is its lack of screen and smart integrations. This won't buzz on your wrist every 5 seconds whenever you get a text or an email, much like an Apple Watch would. Now, you see, I loved Apple Watch's integration into my iPhone. It meant that I never missed a call or a text message, but at the same time, it became pretty distracting. I mentioned this device was set to be worn 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So how exactly do you charge it? Well, in the box you will get a little charging puck. You'll charge this through the USB-C cable, and when you're ready, you just slip it on top of the band and you're charging. It really is that simple. The band and the charging brick are actually completely waterproof as well, so you can charge while you're in the shower, while you're asleep, or while you're idle at your desk. The battery lasts for around 3 to 4 days, so thankfully you don't have to charge too often. The charging is painfully slow. The actual puck is pretty small as well, so the amount of times I've lost this thing around my flat is ridiculous. And at around £50 for a replacement battery, you don't want to be losing these things too often. So in terms of a hardware standpoint, I love what the Whoop does. It's small, it's sleek, it doesn't get in the way. However, when it comes to Whoop, their hardware is just a small piece of the pie as to why people love it so much. The majority of what people love is the software and the AI integrations. So let's talk about that. Before we continue with this review though, I do just want to ask that if this is the first time that you're seeing my face on your screen, then one, lucky you. And two, go down there, hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell so you get notified every time I upload. I actually think the best way to talk to you about what the app does and how all of this data is used is to talk you through a day in life. So I'll normally wake up around 7:30 or just before, depending on when the Whoop believes I should be waking up. Be that I've hit 100% of my sleep goal, or it's the exact time that I've set within the app. Giving it a double tap will stop the alarm and I'll be able to grab my phone, log into the Whoop app, then start to process all of that lovely sleep data. While that sleep data is processing, it is the perfect time to go through the journal feature, and it's one of my favourite features of the Whoop app. What it allows you to do is track around 200 different metrics to understand better how the things that you do in your life affect your recovery, your sleep, and your overall strain. These can be anything from sexual health to what you're eating and drinking in a day to alcohol consumption and even creatine. A lot of the insights it gives you are pretty self-explanatory. For example, drinking alcohol will greatly decrease your recovery score because your heart rate variability drops quite a lot in your sleep. However, there are some more interesting things. For example, the more caffeine I would intake, the better my recovery appeared to be over time. It is worth noting that you won't get these insights straight away. It actually requires 3 days of on and 3 days of off to fully understand how this kind of data affects you. So 3 days of drinking caffeine and 3 days with no caffeine at all. Once the diary is all filled out, normally all that processing will have completed and I'll be presented with 3 major scores. The first one being my recovery score. This is on a percentage between 0 and 100%. And what it does is it takes into account how I slept, how much sleep I got, and how deep and REM it was. Normally it will be in a green, yellow or red range. Green means you are in optimal condition to really push yourself and hit some pretty big personal records. Yellow means you're sustaining. You can still do a pretty good workout, but just don't push yourself too hard. If you're in the red, it could indicate that there's something wrong and perhaps take it a little bit slower today or take a rest day. Your sleep score is pretty self-explanatory. How well did you sleep? Did you get 100% of what Whoop believes you should have gotten? It will also break this down into REM and deep sleep ranges, and it will also tell you interesting things about your heart rate variability, and a few other key metrics as well. And on the final tab, we have the strain score. Usually this will be 0. However, if you've had a particularly bad night's sleep, this might be slightly higher. And what this means is how much strain your body has undertaken in a day. This could be through workouts, or it could simply be through just having a stressful day. At this point, it's normally time for me to have some breakfast, and I don't usually log this kind of thing in the Whoop app. What you can do is you would log this in a normal way like you would through MyFitnessPal or some other kind of integration, and Whoop will take this into account. So in your journal the next day, it will be able to understand how much protein you took in, how many calories you took in, and also some of your other macros as well. Throughout the day, at any point, I can quite quickly open up the app and check out how I'm doing towards my strain score, as well as understanding just how my body is reacting to that day. I like the stress monitoring that was recently introduced by Whoop because it helps me to understand when perhaps I might need to take a step back and just take a few mindful minutes. Your stress levels are normally between 0 and 3. 3 being you've put your body under a lot of strain. Normally you'd only see this if you were working out or if you had a very stressful day like I did today. Walking around the shopping centre for Christmas shopping, I hate people, I hate environments that are busy, and my strain score most certainly reflected that. When it comes to tracking workouts, there are 2 ways you can do it, automatically and manually. A lot of the time I don't like the automatic workout tracking because it doesn't tend to be particularly accurate. So I can go into the app and start a manual workout. There are a ton of different workouts to choose from, so whatever you're doing, you could probably find it here. When you start that workout, you'll have a nice big timer in the top, as well as your strain score in the middle. You'll notice around the outside a little dotted line, as well as a white line with a little button on it. What this is your optimal strain. This is where you would want to be to get the most out of your workout. Going above that means you've gone above and beyond, and perhaps you're going to pay for that tomorrow in your strain score. Once you've completed your workout, all of that data will again process. This will normally take a couple of minutes, and then you can jump in and see where you were in terms of your heart rate zones, when you were most effective and least effective, and how it's affected your day in general. Getting ready for bed, the coaching feature helps out a lot here. What it does is you can tell it just how you want to sleep. Do you want to be optimal 100%, or do you just want to get by? And it will then suggest a bedtime based upon when you would like to wake up. I really like this feature because sleep is one thing that I've never been very good at, and not been terrible at tracking as well, because the Apple Watch would die during the night unless I charged it just before bed. So that's the Whoop 4.0. I've been using it religiously for a couple of months now, and I have to say that it's actually been my go-to in terms of health and fitness wearables. It's meant that I can wear more fashion-based watches, but still have all of that lovely fitness and health data that I rely on during the day. However, this can be a double-edged sword as well. For example, some days I'll wake up and I'll look at my Whoop app and it will tell me that I haven't recovered very well. And then for the rest of the day, I'm going to feel tired and groggy and feel like I can't really do much. Now, if I hadn't have looked at the app and this app hadn't told me I was feeling down, would I have felt tired and stressed and strained? Or would I just simply feel normal? I actually think it's the first one, because you see, there's an over-reliance, particularly with me, on seeing this data. I think this data actually affects how I feel, and it can certainly be a bit of a rabbit hole to fall down. So when it comes to Whoop data, you do need to take it with a pinch of salt. If you look at your app and it says, hey, you might want to take a day off, you're not feeling very recovered, but you're feeling absolutely fine, I'd say go for it. Don't let this data and this app, I know you're paying a lot for it, but don't let this data and this app control you and control your life. You won't start seeing good data and good results from the Whoop app until about month 2 or 3, because it has to start to understand you. The more data you feed it, the better it can understand you and who you are, how you recover. So Whoop are actually offering a month's free trial right now. I'll leave a link in the description down below with my code where you can go ahead and get a refurbished Whoop, just like I did. 1 month free, you don't have to pay anything. If you find that you don't like it, just cancel it, send it back, and it's free. If you find that you do like it and you want to carry it on, then you can just start to pay that monthly or yearly fee. So there we have it, guys. That has been the Whoop 4.0, and it's actually been a love-hate relationship over the last couple of months with health and fitness wearables. So why don't you guys let me know what you thought of the Whoop 4.0 in the comment section down below. And of course, while you're down there as well, get subscribed, share this with your friends and family. And of course, my name's been Robert, this has been Clue, and I will catch you in the next one. Adios.